Coming up, we're going to get into the listener and the viewer mailbag, and then a major U.S. company announces no degree requirements. We'll break it down and what it means to you next. Let's go. Helping you win in your work life so that you're winning in every area of your life. I'm Ken. This is the Ken Coleman Show. So we get a lot of emails. I wish we got letters. I get 2 or 3 letters a year, by the way. It's always fun. People will mail a letter to the Ramsey Solutions Worldwide headquarters. It's always fun to open up a good old-fashioned letter. You know, nobody sends letters anymore. We should probably send more letters. But we get a lot of emails, and so we thought, you know what? Let's get into the old mailbag. Mailbag, not bog. Mailbag. Your questions from, again, our YouTube audience, radio audience, podcast audience, and wherever else you are enjoying the show. And so we call it Ken's Electronic Mail. Let's open it up, shall we, Joe?
Ken's Electronic Mail.
You've got mail.
Sean writes in, how do you know if you're in the right job? And does the 80-20 rule apply to job satisfaction? Do you just have to put up with the 20% of the job and people don't enjoy that? And do you just have to deal with it? Okay, so let's sort of talk about the 80-20 rule. So this is the Pareto principle. You put 80% of your effort into the top 20% of your priorities. That's the idea there. And so let's break down the full question. How do you know if you're in the right job? Okay, so a couple of things. If you are in the right seat of the bus, you're in the right seat, whatever that means. You're in the right seat because it is the seat. It's that sweet spot that we talk about where you're using what you do best, to do what you love, to produce results you care about. If that's the seat that you're in, great. Great. Now, the second question would be, am I on the right bus? Meaning, is it a good culture, healthy culture, values alignment? Not politics, but just values. Then you know. All right. But outside of that, you could be in the right job because it's the right seat for the moment. It's not the be-all, end-all seat, but I am essentially on the climb. I must do this now in order to get that desired next. So sometimes that's it. You may not have a lot of value alignment. You may not enjoy your leader as much. You may not like your coworkers, but this is the best seat, and it's like, I've got to do it. You know, sometimes we overlook this fact that we all on a journey towards a desired future, whatever it is, physically, relationally, professionally. We have to do things that we don't like to do. And many times it's 80, 90% of your day doing the paying your dues type work. So understand that sometimes it's the right job, even though it doesn't feel right. It's right, and I got to get through it. If you're going to get into the news industry, for instance, you know, you're going to come in at a very low level, and you're not going to get paid much. You're going to work crazy hours. Is there anything good about that at all? No. The only thing good about that is you are in the right seat, paying your dues, and eventually you get a chance to move up. So that's how we know. Anna is next. Is there a time frame I should stick with a new job before looking for another job? I've been here for 4 months. But part of the job were misrepresented, like the actual job description. Travel and work hours. I'm not sure this role is a good fit. I talked to my boss about it, but he said one thing: we believe in family first, and then schedule something mandatory the day my son deploys for the Middle East. Should I leave? And if so, how do I prevent this from happening again? Okay, so if a company lied to you in the job interview, and I just did an Instagram post on this, at Ken Coleman, you want to check it out, came from the show. We've talked about this, the amount of hiring managers who admit to lying in job interviews. If they will lie to you or not be fully truthful with you in the job interview, I've got news for you. They're not going to be truthful with you when you're working for them. So yes, massive red flag. Don't quit until you have something to quit to, unless financially your job is bonus gravy. It's not needed. But yeah, you're short term. You're short term. How do you then prevent this from happening in the future? Really good question. You can't prevent someone from lying to you. But what you can do is put them in a position to where they realize they can't lie to you. The only way you can do that is by asking very specific questions in the job interview and having a detailed job description written out for you that you ask them to sign. You sign. We come to an agreement that this is the job and this is the expectations on travel, things of that nature. Just ask for that. And if somebody's not willing to do that, there's your red flag. All right. Next, Matt. Matt says, I'm in a transition phase from my current job. And I'm at a point where I don't care about the job anymore. I don't care if someone angers me. I typically respond with, F it, I'm out of here. I know that sounds selfish, but something I've been struggling with whenever I'm on my way out. Is there a psychological or sociological reason behind careless mindset when someone is on their way out? Yeah, the psychological part is that when you don't feel any more risk to negative behavior, then there is no filter. And so that's part of it. You don't feel, so you're already angry. You've already got negative emotions. But negative emotions come out carelessly when we don't have reason to care. My only comment on this is you think that because you don't care that there are no consequences. And I just don't believe that you get a get out of jail free card and get to act like a jerk just because you've been treated poorly. I think you got to leave well. You never know how saying F it to somebody is going to come back to haunt you. What's the positive? Well, I get to tell them how I feel. Well, you can tell them how they feel without acting like a jerk. I get to release. No, go to the gym and get on a punching bag and punch it for 20 minutes. You'll be fine. You do that privately. Jimmy writes in, my job has been eliminated effective December 15th. I'm 65 years old and virtually no retirement savings. I'm on track to finish baby step 2 soon. How do I go about job hunting at this stage of life? Well, at 65, I'm going to tell you right now, some people won't give you a good look. They just won't. And that's unfortunate. What you've got to do is be maniacal, and I mean maniacal. Act like a maniac because your future depends on it here financially. And you want to get your skill set, your experience dialed into where you go, I may be 65, but I am really good and really experienced at this. And I'm going to go until I find a company that goes, I don't care if you're 65 because we got holes. Understand in this current job market, this is not going to stay this way forever. But in our current job market, there are so many holes available. People can't find talent. And so if you present yourself as, look, I'm experienced and seasoned, I'm a good locker room, good culture fit, I can come in and help you right now. I got the energy, I got the motivation, and tell them your story, why you're hungry, and that's going to be attractive to some people. But that's the narrative. Taylor writes in, I've been at the same hardware chain warehouse for the last 31 years. I recently cold called the CEO of a retailer who's opening a warehouse back home. We set up an interview that went extremely well, but the job is in the future. Probably not hiring until the spring of next year. How do you recommend I stay in contact with them, or just how should I move forward with this? Well, the moving forward is the staying in contact. You cannot really truly move forward. And so the job isn't available yet until next spring. So you can't move forward with this job. Now I got a slight little move forward move, but stay connected. Every month or two, send a handwritten note, maybe an email, whatever, just letting them know, hey, as soon as you're ready to fill the job, I'm ready to go all in. Here's the one little thing you can do that's moving forward to some degree. It's got some risk attached, but if it's back home, it is possible, conceivable that you could move to a job back home. And so this would be a bridge job to where you would stay in this job long enough to then be present locally to get this new job. I'd try that. All right, don't move. More Ken Coleman Show coming right up. Hey, I want you to stop and imagine your life 4 months from now. You got a new skill and a starting salary of more than $75,000. Now, in 15 weeks, and for only $5,000, you can get the skills to land a job in front-end web development through a Bethel Tech micro-credential. And that's way less money and time that you'd spend on a traditional degree to make more dough. Listen, folks, coding skills are in high demand. So with Bethel Tech's front-end web development micro-credential or their data science micro-credential, you can move up. The next class starts April 29th, and the Bethel Tech folks offer you 10% off because you're a Ken Coleman Show listener. Go to betheltech.net/Ken Coleman for details. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, Walmart has made a major announcement. They plan to remove college degree requirement for hundreds of their corporate jobs. Now, this is significant, not just because Walmart is saying we're going to remove the college degree requirements. This is significant because it's white-collar stuff, corporate stuff, not greeters in the stores, not stockers of the shelves. These are white-collar corporate positions, and this is significant. And this the domino of this particular headline, major companies removing college degree requirements, is not a new one. But I would say to you, this is probably, I would say this is probably the most significant validation of what is already beginning to trend. That's how I would look at this. So they plan to rewrite hundreds of job descriptions so that applicants can have either a college degree or show that they have the needed skills through prior experience. Yay, I'm so excited about that piece of it. And other learning. So certifications, maybe a few community college classes that are relevant, online training courses, those type of things are now going to be sufficient. And this is exciting. I'll get back to that in just a minute. So Walmart now is joining the growing ranks of companies that are moving away from the mandate of the degree. And we're seeing fields like cybersecurity, which I don't know that you could name a more important field right now and skill set to have than cybersecurity. Anybody can get hacked. I mean, this isn't just about global peace and governments. And can you imagine hackers getting control of weapons satellites in space? I'm not trying to ruin anybody's sleep tonight, but that's real. You know it's been tried. You get hackers taking over weapons systems, yikes. But as scary as that is, it's also equally scary that hackers can get into your social media accounts and send out some damaging, embarrassing, blackmailing type stuff. I mean, it's crazy, the stories I read. Hackers can get into your finances. I mean, you talk about scary. So all that to say, cybersecurity is as an important of a industry and a professional path as there is. And you don't need a college degree. Why? Because you don't need to sit there for 2 years and learn about literature and certain types of math and all this kind of stuff. They can train you. They can take the talent you have and train you without you being in college. Makes a lot of sense. So there's an example. The reason I spent a little bit of time on talking about the importance of cybersecurity, by the way, not only are they important people, the people that are working these roles, so vitally important to our way of life, they're also really freaking smart. And so what this does is this, if you think about it, it's like, well, doctors and lawyers, they're really smart and they get the degree. I'm going to tell you right now. You could wipe away the current undergrad requirements for doctors and lawyers. I don't care who you are. I'll debate you all day long on that. Just get them right into their skill set. So what it does is it begins to hack away at this false value that the college degree has been given. We talk about Bethel Tech all the time, tech jobs, people going from high school now with just their micro credentials into the workforce, single moms, no prior experience, going from making $40,000 to $85,000 with a path to six figures. According to a 2022 report by Burning Glass Institute, a labor market research nonprofit, 46% of middle skill occupations and 31% of high skill occupations saw a big reduction in degree requirements. This between 2017 and 2019. As of June this year, 13 states, I've shared this earlier on the program, had removed unneeded degree requirements for state government jobs. Love that. Love seeing our state governments be shockingly innovative. IBM, Accenture, Google, all big name companies in the United States have reduced the number of jobs that require degrees. So this is wildly successful. Here's why this is happening. The reason this is happening is because of the worker gap. When the pandemic happened, it spun off 4 million new jobs. We had 4 million people who were prior to the pandemic were working, and they said, I'm not going back. So that's an 8 million swing, if you will, right? 4 left, didn't come back. 4 million new jobs created. And so even now, in this crazy economy where we've got high inflation that's stubborn and staying around, we see incomes going up even as prices go up. But we still got a gap of anywhere between 3 to 3.5 million jobs, where there are 11 million jobs open right now in the United States. And there are only 8 million people who have filed as unemployed. Okay, so that's how we got here. Part of the reason that we're seeing skyrocketing and stubborn inflation is because people started getting paid more because companies were saying, I need somebody, I don't have somebody, let me offer more money. They offer more money, the people leave, they come over, what happens? Companies pass those increased costs on to you, the consumer. All right. Now, so here we sit. Why is this significant? Let's look at the amount of people in the United States that have done some type of prison time. Not violent offenders. And they've done their time, they've paid their debt to society, yet it's very difficult due to the stigma that's been placed on them. And now the stigma has been a tradition for decades where if you have a criminal record, it's very hard to get a job. Folks, we have an opportunity here. You give someone purpose through work to make their life better because now they can get gainful employment and they can move on from their past. To me, is a great employee. That's good for our society. Now let's look at the illegal immigration issue. Very complex. We're not going to get into the politics of it, but let's look at the reality of it. There are a lot of people who are here in this country who are illegal, but they're not here to do bad things. They're actually not here to be violent or to distribute drugs. They're here for what is called the American dream. Did they get here illegally? Yes. How about we speed up the path to citizenship? Let's let them work. Let's tax them. Politicians love taxes. Let's tax them. We have an opportunity here to actually put people at work where other Americans don't want to do the job. How about we kick some of these guys out of the house, the 7 million men that I talk about that aren't working? How about we kick them out of the house and get them a job? I think work brings dignity. You show me a person who's lost their dignity, and I'll show you a person who is pretty much quit on life. Hopeless. And that's dangerous stuff. So all of this ties back to there are lower income people in the United States that feel they have no hope because they don't have a degree. And when Walmart will say, I'll give you a path to a job, a corporate job, where you can make actually really good money and you don't need a degree, guess what happens? Hope rises. If Walmart's doing it, then other people are going to do it. And that's why I'm so excited about this. You want to see the middle class grow, meaning we have more people move from lower income to middle class income with a path forward. This is it. Remove the stupid degree requirement. Level the playing field. Moms who have been stay-at-home moms, never got a degree, and they want to work now. They don't have any hope. Give them a hope. Give them an opportunity to actually do work. Bravo, Walmart. I think we're going to see a lot of big companies follow suit, and the playing field is going to be leveled for millions and millions of Americans. Bravo. You were created to fill a unique role in your work. That means you are needed, and you must do it. Somebody needs you to show up and give your best, and in giving your best, you will receive so very much, and I want to help you figure out what that role is. You're not taught this in school, so the team and I got together, and we developed the Get Clear Work Assessment. It's 15 minutes, and for many of you, you'll get more clarity than you've ever had, more self-awareness than you've ever had in life as to what is it that I should do with my life, that age-old question that haunts many people. The assessment will measure 3 wires, if you will. You were wired to do things well. That's talent. You were wired to enjoy doing things. That's passion. You were wired to be motivated by certain results. That's mission. You get a detailed report on all 3, a purpose statement that is filled out with all those results, and we give you ideas. So you can get it at kencoleman.com/assessment. kencoleman.com/assessment. To the phones we go. Brian is in Portland, Maine. Brian, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Ken, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well, sir. How can I help?
Okay, I'm 64 years young. I've spent about 35 years in capital equipment sales and high-tech industry.
Mm-hmm.
I joined my present company about 5 years ago. We manufacture equipment that's used in heavy industrial applications, so as far removed from high-tech as possible. But it's been a lot of fun, approaching 60 years old, joining a new industry and new products, and it's been like sipping from the fire hose, but it's been great. I'm responsible for an internal sales team and also an external manufacturers rep network that I've largely developed over the last 5 years, compensated with a base salary and a percentage of total sales. About 2 years ago, my boss, the owner of the company, purchased a company in the Southeast that manufactures complementary products. Made the decision to keep the company totally separate, but also decided to use the rep network that we use for the company that I work for. So what I find myself is happening is increasingly I'm pulled into the sales of this other company. I'm now attending the weekly sales meetings. When I have sales calls with customers, I'm expected to devote, a percentage of that time talking about this new company and, generating sales leads for them. And even sometimes sales from my present company are diverted to this other company. Feeling very much taken advantage of and more and more resentful as time goes by.
It seems wacky. Do you think that this is in any way unethical?
Yeah, I think it is.
It feels like it to me. Why are you doing it?
Well, maybe because I'm 64 years old. I really enjoy the people that I work with. I really wanted to put a capstone on my career. I wanted to finish strong. I wanted this to be my last job. And so I feel like I am compromising quite a bit. I have talked to my boss about it before, and his response is, well, we're all one company, and we're all kind of pitching in. And
are you truly? Is it truly one company? I mean, here's what I'm confused by. You said to me that it's unethical. You feel like you're compromising, and so that's one statement. Then he says, "Well, we're all the same company." Is that true?
No.
Okay.
No. It's definitely a separate company, separate P&L.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So he's trying to rationalize. I mean, what would be the response of the other company of your company if they found out what was going on?
Well, I report to him. I mean, he owns both companies.
Okay. That's the part I missed. So
Sorry,
yeah, it was a lot of detail. So I apologize. So he owns both companies.
Yes.
So they are the same company in his mind. It's not unethical because he's going, I own both.
Right.
So is it unethical?
Well, I think it is. Well, from the standpoint of not being incentivized to be doing the sales with this other company.
Oh, no, it's crappy. It's crappy. That I know.
Yeah.
There's no question that he's just, I mean, this is a poor situation. And so I don't think it's unethical now that I realize that part. So I don't want to go down that path. The bottom line is what really matters is that you're settling, you're compromising. And you're compromising because you went, I'm too old to make a change. That's really what's going on.
Yeah.
The question is that true? I don't think that's true. I don't think you're too old to make a change because I'm going to tell you right now, my advice every time to someone who calls me in a situation where they are beginning to resent their leader, resent the company, and then it's not too far after that you're going to resent yourself. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Might already be there.
That's my fear. So when it goes from you resenting the boss, the company, and everything else, then you start to resent yourself because you're really quite frankly disgusted with yourself. You know you're compromising, but you're going, I'd rather be miserable with myself than uncomfortable. That's what you're dealing with. I've given this advice 1,000 times. I would always choose uncomfortable over miserable. And so I understand you're older, but you're not too old. You got to decide, how do you want to finish? You want to finish with resentment and that makes you miserable, or do you want to finish feeling good about yourself because you're being properly rewarded, properly compensated, properly motivated, all those things? This guy's not going to change. You've already raised your hand and he's like, well, whatever, man. And he's missed the whole point. And you know what? I don't think he's missed the point. I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
I don't think this guy cares if you walked out today. And I'm not saying that to make you feel bad. I'm saying that to wake you up to what I think you already know.
Yeah.
Am I right?
No, you are. You are.
All right, then. So here's the deal. Why don't you, let's say, before you quit, why don't you, because you've already accepted enough misery and resentment that a little bit more is not going to hurt you. Okay? So why don't you just start looking and start making connections, and let's see if we can land something where you go, all right, I know it's possible. I'm still going to be uncomfortable making change at this point in my life and my career, but I know it's possible. I've got something waiting for me. And if you get to that point, Brian, and then you go, nah, I'd rather just be miserable and I can play this out a few more years, then you can decide. So that's what I want you to do. Because you can always stay, and I'm telling you to stay, by the way, until we find something else that is something that you can step into. But you can always stay where you are and go, you know what? I'll just autopilot it. I don't think that's who you are. And that's why you called today. And so you have really got to honor your heart here because your heart is right. Your heart longs to be properly incentivized. Your heart longs to make a contribution, and your hands are tied. And folks, again, I'm going to take this beyond Brian right here and just beat this to death because it's so important. When we choose to settle, in other words, we say, I don't like my situation. Here's why I don't like it. I don't think it's right. I'm borderline miserable or full on miserable. I'm resenting, but I just kind of want to, I don't want to change my life. When we do that, when we settle, understand that the word settle, I think, is very strategic because I want you to understand what happens to us emotionally and physically. First, it's the mental, I've settled, I've made a choice, I'm going to settle and just put up with this crap. But you know the idea of the word settle, if you don't talk, one is like a silt will settle, or if you were to drop something like some sugar in some tea and not stir it, what will happen? The sugar will settle at the bottom. It goes to the bottom. It sinks. And that's what's happening when we settle. First, it's mental, then it's emotional, and then it affects our physical and our relational life. We settle and we just drop to the bottom. We're not meant to be bottom dwellers. We're meant to be conquerors, victors. I don't want you to settle. I want you to make the contribution you were born to make. This is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.
Thanks for listening to The Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.